Max Hoba is a multiple award-winning Afro soul and world music artist, as well as the play-a-part ambassador for brand South Africa. With his sultry, velvety voice and music that speaks of love, he has enchanted audiences worldwide. Yesterday in Paris, we have him in our studio here in Brussels right now. Welcome, Max Hoba.
Thank you so much for having me. It's so good to be back in Brussels, man.
I'm very glad having you, and I have to say, I've been listening to your music, preparing for this interview, and I must say I am completely in love. I'm hooked on your music, and I have to ask you, man, how do you do it? What's the secret? What's the secret to making the music sound so good?
It all stems from a journey of self-discovery,
Okay.
you know. As a young man, I started music back in high school, and you pick up different styles, you follow different people, and as you get older, you get to wonder why you're not blossoming, or why you're not sounding as great as Boys to Men, or sounding as great as Busta Rhymes. It's because you are not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the sooner I started understanding my own self and then wanting to look for a sound that particularly speaks to me or identifies me, that's when things started changing for me. Yeah.
It's very recognizable.
That's what happened to you.
Yeah, it happened to me too. I feel like I was really trying to be like other people,
Yeah.
which doesn't make sense because I'm not them, I'm me.
Exactly.
And when you start focusing on you, we can give that as a message to the youth. that
That's
wants
true,
to,
that's
you know,
true.
be you. Is there like a specific moment that you realized, hey, I gotta be me, and it all started coming together and clicking together? Do you?
Yeah. What's interesting is that my professional life in music, I was with a boy band in East London in the Eastern Cape in South Africa. And with this boy band, we did everything. Kwaito was one of the biggest dance genres in South Africa at the time. So we did Kwaito, we did R&B, we did a bit of hip hop, you know. And obviously these are things that you grow up with. And when I moved out of East London, moved to Johannesburg, I joined a friend of mine, the late hip hop Pantsula, and I was the vocalist, he was the rapper. And as time went, I grew to understand that if I really want to go solo, I really need to tap into me and understand what is going on with me. And what helped with that is that I then subsequently went through a spiritual journey, which then made sure that I get grounded. I started identifying that the first song that resonates, that speaks to me, or the first melodies that speak to me are melodies that will identify me as a person, as a singer.
Cool. Max Hoba, you singing, I've been practicing this, Nkosa, Sesotho, and English. And you're very active worldwide, but
Yeah.
centered around Johannesburg, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
Right? So can you tell us a bit about your roots? Where are you from, and how did you grow up?
I've got a very interesting background. So I'm born and raised in a small town called Welkom in the Free State province. That's in the center of South Africa. And I'm born to two Xhosa parents, but I'm born in a Sotho-speaking town.
Okay.
Predominantly. Inside my house, my father would never let us speak any other language except for Xhosa, because he was aware that we are in danger of not knowing the language because of the influence outside. And when you step out the house, you go play with your friends, all you're doing is speak Sesotho.
Okay.
Then in school, it's English. So
Oh, wow.
your life is 3 languages in a day, minimum.
So in school, Xhosa or Sesotho is not spoken?
No, I only
Wow,
did Xhosa in primary school. I did Xhosa and Sotho in primary school.
Yeah.
And then in high school, the only languages we did was English and Afrikaans. Afrikaans, which is
Like
Dutch.
Netherlands, yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, and Afrikaans you have in school also?
Yeah.
Wow.
Ons praat baie Afrikaans daar so.
The school where you went, was it a mixed school? Was it
Yeah,
separated? Was
so fortunately, I'm one of the first group of kids to go to what then became multiracial schools.
Okay.
Because remember, schools in South Africa, there was white schools and then there was black schools.
Yeah.
So around 1990, 91, they started, obviously the private schools started earlier, but the public schools, the government schools, around 91, 92, after Mandela got released, they started then taking in black kids. So I'm one of those first kids to go into those schools. That's very interesting stage of life, going to school with kids from completely different backgrounds.
Is that from the beginning of when you went to school that it was mixed?
No. This was in high school for me.
Okay.
My entire primary school, I went to school in the township.
Oh, so how was that all of a sudden that changed for you?
It wasn't too bad for me personally because I was always surrounded by music and I was always imagining myself in this American life, you know. So I would speak my broken English every now and again. And what helped is my father used to work in the mines, and one of his closest friends was a white guy. And this white guy and his kids, they used to come visit because we stayed in a mining village at the time. So we would either go visit them or they would come visit and we played together, which was not really allowed at the time, but we did it anyway. So I think that gave me like some kind of practice into looking at multiculturalism and multiracialism in a different aspect. So by the time I got to school, to Velcom High, it wasn't bad at all. It was just an issue of having to help other people unlearn things that they were taught at home.
Such as?
The blatant racism.
From black towards white or whites towards...
Mostly whites towards blacks.
Okay.
Because to them, you can imagine, it's a shock to their system that all of a sudden we have these black kids, you know, coming into our school.
Which was first?
A white-only school. And there was only 6 of us. And out of 750 kids, there's only 6 of us, about 6 to 8 of us black kids, right? And you can imagine the treatment and all that, you know, we endured quite a bit, you know, but fortunately, as time would have it, we eventually got along. Like most of the guys that I believed, or they believed they hated us when we got there, we still friends to this day. Yeah.
And what time was that when you...
This was 1992.
Okay, wow.
A long time ago.
I was 7 years old.
Not bad. I thought you were not born yet. You know.
Okay, wow.
I was 13, turning 14. Yeah, I was 13. Yeah.
Do you have like a specific event that you remember very clearly that happened in the school?
Yeah, quite a few, man. I'll tell you about 2 incidences. The one incident, there was going to be a cheese and wine in the evening at the school. So the school was letting us out earlier, right? And this group of, and it wasn't even just Afrikaner boys, it's let's say this group of white boys were like, what are you Kefas doing here in our school? So Kefa was synonymous to the N-word in America.
Yeah.
That's what they call black people in South Africa, you know. And they're like, why are you Kefas here? You guys are going to make sure you regret it, da-da-da-da-da. And a big fight broke out. And you can imagine there's only, out of the 6 to 8 kids, there's about 4 guys, you know, and the others are girls, and obviously they're not going to fight girls, you know. And a big fight broke out, and we were all taken to the principal's office. And I remember the principal was Mr. McGill at the time. And what I found very interesting, Mr. McGill, he made sure that all of us that fought, we become friends. And he made sure that he teaches the white boys that, okay, these guys are as human as you are. The blood that, look at the blood that you are bleeding, look at the blood that he's bleeding.
So basically he gave a speech.
Because we were taken to his office.
Yeah.
And instead of him punishing us, hitting us, he set us all down.
And he gave a speech, and after that speech, you didn't like get along, or you completely was like, okay.
No. So obviously we didn't get along immediately, but we were like, you're still full of it. You also still full of it. But over time, then you would see the difference when other boys from other grades maybe come and try to start something. Now your classmates are defending you because now we're starting to understand one another.
Because of spending time together, you started connecting and bonding more, in color didn't matter so much.
Exactly. Okay. And then the second incident, I was in standard 9, so that's grade 11. So we went on a thing called the cadet camp. In South Africa at the time, I think we were the last class of that in 1994. When you are about to go to
Wait a minute, just a question for here in Belgium, because is it the same as in the United States or in UK when grade 11? How old are you?
So I am at the time 17, so I'm almost finished
Yeah,
with
yeah, okay.
school.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
it's the second last standard
Okay,
or
so this
grade.
is 12 grades actually.
This is
Yeah.
11. Oh, for you guys, it's 12 grades?
No, here it's completely different.
How do you guys do
Here
it?
we only have 6th grade. So you get
6?
yeah, you start preschool and
Mhm.
that's still 6 or 7 years old, and then you go
Mhm.
to lagere school and it's 6 years.
Lower,
So 1, 2, 3, 4,
lower
5,
school,
6,
yeah,
and
primary,
then from
yeah.
12 years onwards, you again have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you're 18 basically. And
Oh,
you can go
so then this would be
study.
grade 5 in your
Yeah,
in your terms, you know.
yeah.
So we were taken to what is called a cadet camp.
Mm.
They were phasing out this thing where boys, when they're about to turn 18 or they just turn 18, they get taken to army training. That was the rule of the past government of South Africa. We were some of the last people to be on that program. And we went on a cadet camp in a place in the Free State called Zastron to go get trained to be in the army, even though we're still in school, you know.
Okay.
So we did some form of some army training, not even some form of, like we did army training. And the one incident I remember from that is we were doing target practice shooting, right? And it was just after the elections or just before the elections, just before Mandela became president officially, you know.
Oh,
So
wow.
it was that year, around that time. And our target boards, the shooting boards, these commanders and these teachers, they put only the black politicians there for us to shoot at. And all the flyers with the white politicians are put nicely and safely. And so me and some of the other guys, we were like, no, but if we are shooting at somebody, let's shoot at everybody. Why are we shooting only at the black police? Why specifically are we shooting at Mandela's face, you know?
You were shooting in Mandela's face. In the school, they put up a poster
It wasn't
from
the school,
Mandela.
it was the army. Because we were being trained by the army,
the
not the
army,
school.
yeah.
It was the old South African Defense Force. It was called SADF, SADF,
So in the army, you was shooting at Mandela's face.
for target practice, for the posters. You know the election posters?
Yeah.
So instead of them giving us, you know, they would have the dots and no, they put Mandela's face there. They put the PAC, which is the Pan Africanist Congress, which is another party, and then they would put AZAPO, which is another party, and they put IFP. But mainly, it's the ANC, which is African National Congress, Mandela and them, that we are being taught
And
to
only
shoot
black
at.
politicians.
Yes,
to
that are
shoot at.
our
Wow.
target thing, you know. And when we said no, but why are we being forced to shoot at this? We were punished. We were made to crawl up a bloody hill for
Because you asked question about why we
yeah,
need to shoot a black politician.
and remember, we're very far from our parents at this time. We're very far from
Because where was
anything.
that?
It was in Zastron, which would be, let's say, it was from where we were, from our school, it's about 2 to 3 hours out of town.
Yeah.
And we were there for about a week or 2 weeks, camping, being taught all sorts of things. But after we said no to that, it never happened again. So those are the two incidences that I remember.
It did have some positive effect to speak of.
I believe it did, because
you
I mean,
got punished, but in the end, it did have.
and also I think it also brought us together, because it wasn't just the black guys that were saying no to this thing, you know, because also you must remember, I think the one thing that people forget is with racism comes other forms of isms. For example, the Greeks will not be liked by the Afrikaner kids, or the Italian kids are not liked by the English kids. You know what I mean? So it's still like, much as you're trying to eliminate, you are then eventually going to start eliminating your own. The same way that I'm Xhosa, and if I'm Xhosa and I'm saying I want to get rid of whites in South Africa. Okay, let's say we get rid of whites. By the time we are done chasing out all the whites, we are going to be left with our ethnic groups.
Yeah.
And then we are going to start getting rid of each other.
It doesn't make any sense. Okay, Max Hoba, I want to get back a bit to music.
No, cool.
So,
cool.
I want to ask you, do you remember like the first time you ever got in touch with music? Is that too long ago, or can you?
It's very long.
Can
I'll
you
remember one. I'll try to remember. Okay. One of my most memorable moments with music, I used to sing a lot of Michael Jackson songs.
Okay. Yeah.
A lot of Michael Jackson songs.
Don't
and
matter if you're black or
yeah.
white.
So I remember this was, oh man, I'm so old, I'm exposing myself. Okay, this was 1986.
Okay.
or 85.
I was 1 year. That was the year I was born.
Yeah.
85.
So the crazy
And you
thing is,
was
I was about 7.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about 7, yeah.
Yeah.
And we stayed in this mining village, which
Mhm.
had just about 100 houses, quite protected, quite
Yeah.
nice. And I remember the SABC, which is the South African Broadcasting Corporation, they brought out their OB van, you know, like the outside broadcast vans. And I think they were just going around filming kids in different places.
Mm.
And it was 86, because We Are the World, it came out in 1985.
Mm.
We are the world. So they were filming kids who were singing that
Okay.
song, you know.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm like, one of the most memorable for me is I was Michael Jackson on that song.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, and I remember I was a chubby Michael Jackson, you know. I think from that day on, I just knew that this is the only thing I want to do for the rest of my life.
From when you were 7 years
Yeah.
old, you knew music.
Yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
I'm
I'm one of those guys, like, I've never had no, I want to be a police. No. It's always been, I want to be a musician.
I feel you can hear that in the music that you've been doing it for so long. Okay, and how did it evolve from there? Was it straight away you was singing all the time and then
So the crazy thing is, my parents actually didn't like this music thing for me. And funny enough, both of them from both sides of their families are quite talented musically.
Okay.
My father was a very talented poet and writer, but he did his thing at the church.
Mhm.
Anything outside the church, he was like, no,
Mm.
you know. And my mother obviously sang in the choir, the church choir, the hospital choir, because she was a nurse. But I started my first group when I was 13 years old. It was just me, because I was always singing everywhere.
Yeah.
And even at talent shows, I'm always singing. So other kids wanted to sing with me. Or
So you was the leader of the band.
yeah, I always started my own little bands,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I mean, time went and we started growing. I remember myself with the guys, we were called Mood Swing. And as Mood
Okay.
Swing in all talent shows, we were the only guys that were not miming. We were not mimicking, you know, or singing over a tape.
Mhm.
We actually had guys that were actually playing the piano at that young age, you know. Some of the
Yeah.
guys were playing piano, some will try to play drums, but obviously it wasn't the greatest. But that's how we started honing our experience into the
Yeah.
live space. Yeah.
Okay, cool. You don't play an instrument, right?
No, I jam on percussion, but
Yeah.
no, I program, yes, but no, I
Okay.
don't play live.
So you do also program your own
Yeah,
music.
I do my
Okay.
own production. I partly do my compositions.
And
know.
you sound engineer the project.
No. I get a sound engineer, but
Yeah.
I will be like, okay, cool. I want, for example, the song we're gonna do, not only.
Yes, because we will do a song by Max
Yeah.
Hoba, and I will play the piano. We have a piano here.
Yeah.
We will do it a bit later after the interview. So,
So, for example, Not Only is actually a song that I heard in the village. So there was a point in my life where we were taken to the village because of the riots in South Africa during apartheid.
yeah.
So we were taken back to the Transkei, to the rural areas. And over there, my father's brother was one of the principals at the school, and he had this choir. He was really in love with the choir music. And whenever I would stay after school, I would hear my sister and them in that choir. They would singing the song, you know. And this is as far, I mean, I was 9 years old when I heard the song, you know, but I kept it for that many years. And when I was working on Bayele, this album, I was like, actually, there's a song that I still wanted to do as a kid, you know, and so I play the bass with my mouth. That's my biggest instrument, you know.
Wow.
So I
What
went to
song
my
is-
bass
song
player.
is that? What
I was
song?
like, Austebza. So my bass player is a lady. Her name is Austebza.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, Debza, I need you to play these lines. Go, doom, doo, 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 doom, doom, doo, doo, doom, doo, doo, doom, doo, 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 ka-doom, ba, doo, doo, doo. You don't recognize it? You were playing it earlier.
Oh,
on.
really?
That's the bass line of that song,
Yeah,
you know.
okay,
Yeah. I enjoy that kind of thing, you know. I enjoy creating music with live musicians, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Max Hoba, you won a SAMA also.
Mhm.
That's a South African Music Award for those who don't know here in Belgium as Best African Adult Contemporary Album for your latest album Bayele.
Yeah.
The journey continues. And how was that for you? Can you tell us a little something about how the process went from the first draft, first idea for the first song on the album,
Okay.
all the way to eventually finishing the album and then afterwards also winning the award?
Wow. So this is a 2-year process that we're talking. I actually, after my second album, Traveling Man, I like criticizing myself a lot. So I sat with the album and I'm like, okay, what could change in my sound or what could improve? And I recognized that, okay, cool. The feel is nice and all that, but I needed the sound to be clearer. I needed the sound to be bigger. And I needed somebody who would understand my voice. Because a lot of engineers, they engineer as per whatever they feel like or what they've heard before. Just because I have a gravel voice doesn't necessarily mean you must mix me the same way that you would mix Barry White. It's not the same, you know what I mean? So, long story short, I then got in contact with the producer of Bayele, I co-produced with. His name is David Felgerol. He's based in Paris. So I flew to him, met up with him, we sat down, we did a pre-production. I had done a layout with the band at rehearsals, just put together the songs just for him to have a listen and which direction we're going to take. And I think the first song that we did for the album was a song called Ndoyo Mhlaba. And how Ndoyo Mhlaba came about, which is crazy. It's the first song on the album, actually. Okay. I was at Primavera Sound in Barcelona, and a rock band was playing there, going crazy, going in. And within whatever they were playing, somehow, I don't know if I was high off music but I'm glad I was in that moment. Because when I walked back to the hotel, all I was singing was goo, 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 goo. Got to the hotel, sent that to my band back in SA, in South Africa. I'm like, guys, when I come back, I need us
like
to...
you made a voice recording on WhatsApp or something.
Yeah. So I was like, sent it. Like, guys, we're going to start with this thing. We're going to, and because what I like doing is I like testing the music before I actually record it. Because what I discovered was for the longest time, we record music and hope for the best. But it's important to do your market research in my world. You do your research by either just testing out one or two of the songs and the sound that you want to take direction at. And if the audience is saying cool, then you go and record it. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. And then started the pre-production, I think around 2018. Late 2018, around November. I remember I came to Europe. It was winter. It was beginning of winter. And we went through that. In March of 2019, David came to South Africa, flew him into SA. He met my band, worked with the guys from my band. We did the up and down, and then we came back to Paris. I worked with very amazing musicians. I mean, Felix Sabaleko, Amen Vienna. Amen is Angelique Kidjo's guitarist. Felix plays with like Peter Gabriel and them, you know what I mean? These are big people that I didn't know that they were that big, you know? And so that's how the album unfolded. I think more than anything, the reason this album really won this thing is because of the energies that were together, that were binded in making it. Everybody was so giving of their time, of their talent, you know? And I just remember when the summer nominations were opening, I was like, actually, no one heard for me to submit. Downloaded the forms, put it together, sent through whatever they wanted. And this was at a point where I was like, I'm done with the award thing. Is I never win an award anyway, you know. And this time around, funny enough,
you did.
I then win the award. But unfortunately, the awards were virtual because of COVID. You know.
Okay. So there was no event. Actually.
There was no event.
Wow, that's a sad.
So the event, was virtually,
really,
it's crazy,
because when you think about winning an award, you want to go to an event.
You want to go there, you want to feel it, you know? You know. But look, I'm still grateful that I won it. It's a recognition from peers. It's a recognition from the industry. And it's also just a nice little pat that, hey, you still got it. You're doing good. You don't stop
So
now.
how many people did work on the album?
Woo. Oh, yeah. So many people.
Which ones stand out the most?
Firstly, my band in South Africa, Ausdebza, Dogozo on drums, Lebo on vocals, Sbu, Tepo, Musa on keys, and then came to Europe. The guys that I worked with, Felix Sabaleko on percussion and talking drum, and Tlale Machene. Then there's Amen on guitar. There's guys that came with weird instruments like seashells. And I think everybody really played like a huge role in ensuring that whatever song they were into is a great song. I mean, this song, not only that we're going to do, the lady that played the piano on that song, she has played with Stevie Wonder.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So I'm quite.
I don't want to play it no more.
No, but that's
Too
why
big
like
shoes to
when I
fill.
came in, I'm like, dude, you're touched. You know what I mean? And
Stevie Wonder.
look, pretty much everybody that worked on this album, they gave it their all.
Yeah.
You know, I worked with amazing vocalists, Boloja. Boloja is from Swaziland, and I tried to have everyone from everywhere. Obviously, I can't have the whole world, but I've got people from Togo, from Benini, I've guys from from far islands, man. Like from also from Zim. So it was quite a nice package, you know, rounded off. Yeah.
Can you tell us a funny story that happened while you was recording the album and getting the?
Whoa.
You have like a story that
Let me see.
that stick with you,
Yeah.
that moved you in some way, or that
Let me try. There's so
that
many.
you want people to know.
There's so many things that happen in this album. Oh.
What is something that would make the people maybe smile or laugh or touch?
Towards the end of our recording, our final recording in 2019, so you guys walk a lot in Europe, by the way. So I was staying at a friend's Airbnb in Paris, and it takes me about 30 minutes to walk to the studio because I was using that as my breathing and that kind of thing. But closer to me finishing the album, I was just getting sick every single day, but not like crazy sick. But on the very last day, when I finished recording, I went to the airport because I was going to a music conference, Midem, in the south of France, in Cannes. And when I got to Charles de Gaulle, I just completely lost it. My body was just vibrating. I think my body was just tired.
Yeah.
I was just exhausted, you know
work.
what I mean? From like a full month of every day,
Yeah.
you know, you are in the studio, you wake up early, you sleep late. And I bumped in. So this gentleman came to me. He's a Tibetan gentleman. This guy comes to me. He's like, "Are you okay?" Oh, he was looking for a place to plug to charge his phone. So I'm like, "Sir, you can use that one." But when he's looking at me, my feet are swollen. I'm putting my feet up like an old lady, you know, because I couldn't. It was hard. It was painful to walk, you know. He's like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" I'm like, no, I'm just tired. Where are you going? I'm like, "No, I'm going to Cannes." And then I was going to do a residency in Lithuania, actually. I was going to go stay in Lithuania for an extra month.
Okay.
And this guy just literally started feeling my pulse and started touching places. He's like, "My brother, if I were you, I would go home, go back to South Africa now. Otherwise, your family is going to pick you up in a box. You'll be a corpse."
Oh, really?
I'm like, "Huh?" He's like, "Yes." And after he said that, even me trying to walk to the bathroom, it was even getting harder and harder, you know. He helped me walk to the counter, to the airline counter to try and change my flight. The following morning, I slept at the airport. I didn't even go to Cannes anymore.
Yeah.
I changed my flight, slept at the airport. After booking the flight home, went back home. And literally 2 days after I got home, I was fresh as ever.
Okay.
That's the craziest thing ever to happen to me. But I'm grateful that I met that man because
It could have gone really wrong.
it definitely would.
Do you think it would have been the end?
I do believe that it would have been the end. I was finished, man. You know, I was finished. I was finished emotionally. I was finished spiritually. I was finished physically, financially, everything, you know. Everything was just, yeah. One day, when I meet that guy, I'll thank him again. I did thank him. We kept in touch when I got back to South Africa. We kept in touch for a while, but then when COVID happened, he just disappeared, and then I hope he's still okay.
Yeah. Let's hope that. Wow.
He was an old man. He was actually in Paris to go see the Dalai Lama.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think that helped me as well.
I can imagine that it feels amazing when you win an award like that after all the
Mhm.
effort you put in and after like you almost died making the album. We just
Yeah.
learned, but you are a very socially engaged artist and man,
Yeah.
and you're a former ambassador of Oxfam Pan Africa in
Yeah.
the campaign on climate change. You're the founder and producer of Back to the Music, which is a platform for vocalists to get together and showcase. And
Mhm.
you're a presenter for the new community building show Nzame, which
Yeah.
seeks to help upcoming township and village business people.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about what drives you? What drives you to be this socially engaged? And in what way can we hear this in your music?
Okay, cool. That's a quick one. So I come from my immediate family is small. It's me and my two sisters and my parents. But my extended family is huge, huge, you know. And I come from a family of people that were always socially responsible without being asked. I remember at home when my mother cooks, in fact, in my family in general, even in my extended family, when you cook extra just in case somebody comes in knocking and asking for a plate. You should be able to feed them,
Okay.
you know.
So you never you threw food away sometimes because you always cook too much.
No, 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 no. If there's food left over, that food that's left over is taken somewhere to go give to some people. There was always neighbors that don't have. And I mean, the following day, you can just warm up the food when your friends are around. You guys eat that food and you're good. You know what I mean? And so I think coming from that kind of background, and my family is also very, very spiritual, you know. And spiritual, when you're spiritually inclined, you are bound to be socially responsible in a certain way. It's just been it's something it's honestly something that's just embedded in me. I mean, for example, for me to end up working with Oxfam and being the ambassador for the climate change campaign, I have no idea where those guys got my numbers. I have no idea where those guys got my contacts. But they called me. They're like, "Hey man, we're seeing you, we're seeing what you talk about, we're seeing the things that you are doing, you know, you're helping out people." And I was not even aware that that's what I'm doing, you know. And they're like, "Would like to invite you to come have a sit down with us, let's have a chat." And our chat resulted in me being involved in the climate change campaigns, you know what I mean. And ever since that day, actually, I've never taken out a receipt in the ATM. That's as small as you start,
Okay.
you know, to preserve paper, to preserve the earth. Yes. If I need a balance, I look at the balance on the screen. If I withdraw, I choose, I do not want the paper. You know what I mean? There's smaller things. And on the last part of your question, like when it comes to the music, I even got to a point where I was like, I need to start making more danceable or, you know, like more poppy music because I feel like I'm always speaking conscious things. But again, in this installment of this album that I'm working on in my head for now, I want to do a more high energy album, but still speaking of things and ways to help the world become a better place. You know what I mean? We can never overstate the fact that the world is still not cool. You know, people are still suffering every day. And unfortunately, because of social media as well, I don't know if it happens here in Belgium, but in most places that I've been to and back home, social media plays a very huge role in misguiding people. You know, people think that life is about bling bling and showing off, and the reality is that currently the world is going through a big mess. People are hungry, people are broke, there's all these weird diseases, and for me it's not the time for us to be gloating and shining our material gains in the face of people that cannot afford. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Max Hoba, you're the player part ambassador for Brand South Africa. What
Yeah.
does that mean, actually? What does a player part ambassador do?
When I was getting onboarded onto the program Play Your Part with Brand South Africa, I took out one amazing thing. The whole idea of Play Your Part is you playing your part in, number one, bettering the life or the lives of the next South African. Number two, playing your part in selling a good word about your country. Number three, it's playing your part in ensuring that your countrymen are okay wherever they are, that the reputation of your country, of my country, which is South Africa, I keep it as intact as possible. You know, I find no reason and no joy in me going out there in the world and speaking ill about the things that happen at home. Every household has its own problems. And I don't think it helps any. The reason why we don't know bad things about Belgium, for example, it's not because they say to you guys, hey, don't go there and talk bad. No. It's because you know that this is your home. Yes, you've got problems, but you deal with them inside. You know what I mean? And when you go out there, you don't go out there and say, don't come to Brussels. No, it's not. It's not. You know what I mean?
I say that sometimes. I tell people, don't come here in winter because it's too damn cold.
It's cold, but I mean that's a healthy, you know. But I mean, there was a point, because remember South Africa at this point, and I won't say even at some point, but even at this point, there are still people that are still disgruntled. You know, that South Africa has moved into a black majority governance. South Africa has moved into, you know, so people have their own issues, and then people go out there in the world and they spew all sorts of bile, man, about the country. Like, for example, the Uber driver today, he's like, so where do you live? I'm like, I live in Johannesburg. He's like, oh, Johannesburg, oh, such a big crime. Like, dude, don't be crazy here, man. The whole world is full of crime. I'm like, have you heard that Johannesburg actually has some of the most multicultural and everybody that goes to South Africa goes to Johannesburg or Cape Town. Without a doubt. You know what I mean? And I was like to him, you must actually try come through. I'm like, I live there and I'm perfectly fine. So I don't know. I don't know what you heard.
I've been in Cape Town for 3 days. And actually, I've only been there for 1 day because I used to play piano on a cruise ship. And
nice.
We was there for 3 days. There was it was a world cruise. We were all around the world.
Cool. Yeah,
we just had a stop in Cape Town for 3 days, and I got to go on land for just 1 day. Actually,
1 day.
Because I wanted to go to
Cape Town,
the mountain there, Table Mountain. But actually, the cab driver's like, no, man, go to Lionhead Mountain. That's much better than you get a view over Table Mountain. I think I shouldn't have listened to him.
Because you would have experienced Table
exactly.
Mountain.
So
Yeah. You must do yourself a favor. You must go back there. You must go to Cape Town. Maybe I must bring you to South Africa, actually.
That would be good, man. I would
love to come through, man. You must come through and we just mess around and do some nice music there, you know. Yeah.
Okay. And Max Hoba, what does the future look like for you? You've already accomplished so much. So do you still have goals and dreams you want to accomplish?
I do, man. I need a Grammy.
You need a Grammy? I need one too.
I need a Grammy.
When you get one, you get two, give me one.
I need a Grammy, man, you know. Apart from the Grammy Award, which I'm very serious about, my ambitions, I think because I love traveling so much, I still want to see myself playing in as many spaces as possible. I'm one of those people. I'm inspired by the likes of the late Hugh Masekela, Manu Dibango, Mama Angelique Kidjo. I want to still perform until I'm in my 60s, 70s, you know. Because
why stop there?
No, I'm saying, 60s, 70s, 80s. But but I think in my 80s, I just want to be drinking, man. Like in my 80s, I'm like, no.
Just booze, man.
Let me just drink and enjoy my grandkids and just be a troublesome grandfather, you know. So I think that's
granddaddy, he got 5 Grammys, but now he's drunk every day.
Yep.
So he can't do nothing with him. Hit him with his damn Grammys.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, good. Max Hoba, thank you for being here with us here in Beeldenstorm. Now we will play a song together.
Yeah.
I'll let you introduce it.
Cool. The song is called Nodoli, taken off my latest album, Beele, The Journey Continues. I hope you guys enjoy it. ndimela ngokwami unodoli wami, ndimela ngokwami unodoli, ndimela ngokwami unodoli wami. Ndifuna nimbone, ndibizele nabazali bam, ndibizele nabazali, ndibizele nabazali bam. Ndifuna bambone, ndivuswa ngonyezi ekhaya izolo, oqhiya nkulu nababahlambile, nangamakebe enxanga ubuhlanti. Kuthiwa ndidlisiwe, Nkosi ndiyavuma, ndidle ndibona, kwaye ngayiphindi kwithuba likhona. Kho ndizawujika, tsiku zawutyiwa, emva kwemini ndicela niqonde, ndimela ngokwami unodoli wam, ndimela ngokwami unodoli, ndimela ngokwami unodoli wam. Ndifuna nimbone, ondibizele nabazali bam, ndibizele nabazali, ndibizele nabazali bam. Ndifuna bambone, naku kwenzeka behlaba enyuka, begxela imiqhaka amaqubusha lelali. Ngoku ndiyafunwa kuthiwa ndizodolika, akasatshayi ingalo nqawa, ndimthandela ukuzazi isimilo nembeko, kodwa ungamqala ungaphela uzisola. Ndibekela ubala yewe ndiyamazi, nguye unodoli undimela, unodoli undimela unodoli, ndimela ngokwami unodoli wami. Ndifuna nimbo, jonga ndibizeleni, jonga ndibizeleni, hayi ndibizeleni, yewe njena. Ndifuna bambone, ndimela, 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 oh yeah. Ndifuna nimbone, ndibizele nabazali bam, ndibizele nabazali bam, ndibizeleni, leni, leni.